gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for March 7th, 2025. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Respawn has canceled another game and Mario Day begins early. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Tamoor Hussain, everybody. Tam, how are you doing?
I'm back. I'm alive.
Alive? Those are the things that I require from you. I'm glad you're here. How are you doing?
You know how I'm feeling?
How are you feeling? Oh, he's standing up. All right. He's oh my God, he's got the those, are those Monster Hunter dual blades?
I'm feeling like Star Scourge Radeon. That's how I feel.
They're Star Scourge Radeon swords. Okay, that makes sense. Yes.
This is how we're rolling today for Game Mess Mornings, okay? Who
Oh,
wants some of this smoke?
When you pose like that,
Who wants this smoke?
Like Radeon.
Huh?
Yeah. When you pose like that, when
Who
you put it
wants
over your
it?
shoulders, I don't want it. Personally, like if I think
Radeon.
chat wants it.
I'm the Radeon. Look at me. I'm the Radeon now.
Well, you're looking cool. How did you have to bring those through customs?
No, that was a birthday present given to me by Andrew Goldfarb.
Oh, incredible. Well, happy birthday. Wait, when was your birthday?
Who knows? Maybe it's every day.
Oh, you son of a gun. Well, Tam, happy birthday. Glad you're back. How was your trip? Did you have fun out there?
Oh yeah, it was great. Was Lucy on early this week? I'm sure she might have explained most of it, so she was right. But yeah, it was good.
Tam, real quick, I have to admit something. When you show up the swords, I just looked at them quickly. I'm like, I just assumed that they were the Monster Hunter dual blades. Are you mad at me?
No, that's fine. It's I understand. They look like dual blades.
My second guess would have been Radeon. It would have.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about that guy a lot. Maybe not as much.
Same
as
do I. Same as me, yeah. Japan was great. We went to see Expedition 33. I wrote a preview up of that. Game is one of those games where I played it and I'm like, I played the preview build and I was like, this preview build is really good.
It's really good. Right?
I don't know if this preview build is really good or if I'm being like tricked.
I mean,
and the game is actually,
we never know.
Yeah,
like,
vertical slice is
in front of us.
Yeah, judging what was in front of me, I was like, oh God, this might be a little Game of the Year contender right here, baby. I wrote a preview about it. Was very excited about it. My whole angle on the preview was like, this reminds me of the Mistwalker Sakaguchi era from the early 360s.
Yeah,
where people had ideas and they were trying to do it, but now we're in a position to actually make it happen. Me and Lucy did a video preview as well, and the entire time from the moment I woke up that day to leave for the airport to the day I got to Narita Airport to come back, I was filming stuff for a travel log. So you can watch me wake up first thing in the morning, brush my teeth, leave for the airport, and then Lucy was doing some of that on her side as well. And then obviously when we were like
fictioned it.
Yeah, we split fictioned it, and then we would get together, and then we'd film. I'd film or she'd film. And what we did was we met with the developers of Sandfall, the game. And obviously they're a French studio, but they love Japanese games. They're inspired by Japanese RPGs and all kinds of Exactly. You couldn't tell. And so what we figured is they're in Japan, we're in Japan. Why don't we like walk around Japan, like walk around like Tokyo, Akihabara, and that kind of place, and just film them as they interact with Japanese culture, especially the gaming side. So like if they're walking along, like we went to Super Potato, and then at one point, like a developer might stop and be like, oh man, I love Final Fantasy. That's a perfect moment to speak to them about Final Fantasy. Why do they like it? How is it manifested in their game? You know, that kind of stuff. And we did that with like a bunch of stores. With Tower Records was really good because everything was kind of like laid out really cleanly. So we went down one aisle and every single thing they were like, oh, I love Kingdom Hearts. Oh, I love Nier. I love this. And we just like interviewed them the entire time.
Fun.
And then like after that, like walked around Akihabara for a bit, went to Super Potato, went to a couple of other retro game stores, got addicted to claw machines and like cataloged the whole process. So hopefully we'll have a extensive travel log coming at some point soon. Collected loads of footage. I spent yesterday labeling it, so it was easier to edit together. And then I was going to edit it, but the Jan was like, let's get Sean to edit it. And I was like, oh yeah, an actual person that is good at editing.
Yes.
I'll get that person to do it. Yeah. But yeah,
so you were out there to see, and just as a reminder, Clair Obscure Expedition 33.
Expedition 33, which is quickly shot up to one of my most anticipated games of the year list, and thankfully it's not far away. Not far away at all.
I'm not even a big RPG guy, but boy, I think they nailed the things that they're going for. They really got right. So
for sure.
I am excited about that as well. Real quick, want to note, chat had a very long time making fun of me for not knowing those swords right away. And I just want to say that's the most stereotypical nerd thing of, you don't know that sword by looking at it? Come on, what do you mean? I thought you were a real gamer. And it's like, oh my God, you guys, Jesus Christ.
I'm like Radeon. I can hold both swords with one hand.
See, look at that.
I think that makes me more powerful than Starscourge Radeon.
I do too, yeah. I've always thought that about you, though. Let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch,
me, the guy with the swords.
You could always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Respawn's unannounced multiplayer first-person shooter game has been canceled. This is from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. It appears that Respawn Entertainment, the studio behind Titanfall, Apex Legends, and Star Wars Jedi Survivor, has canceled an unannounced multiplayer first-person shooter game. This news comes from
Half-Life 3.
Yeah, they were working on it.
Somehow they were canceling Half-Life 3.
They just worked on it so they could cancel it. The news comes from the Game Post, which caught a LinkedIn post by former Respawn employee Emily Evans, which revealed that the game she had been working on for the past year had been shut down. While we don't know exactly what the game was, it was believed that it could have been a brand new IP. So this was before this latest phase when it was canceled. Now, it was previously, or at least the team that was working on that Star Wars mobility-based first-person shooter game that was going to have all kinds of cool stuff, but in the Star Wars universe, that project got canceled. But then that team kind of likely took a lot of that work and was going to repurpose it for whatever this was going to be, which I don't know. But that has also been canceled. So nothing was Titanfall here, which I guess some people might be relieved to hear, but also it's not like they're working on anything Titanfall either, at least.
So that's is that known, right? Like Titanfall isn't actively in production there.
I mean, it's the last time we talked about this, the Titanfall Legends was being worked on as a major update to Apex Legends, and then that was canceled. And since then, there's been, no change to that. But, I think people are always getting their hopes up. So as a reminder and as confirmation, there is nothing Titanfall happening. Unless, they are beginning to think maybe some of the stuff they're going to do with Apex Legends, again, might involve some Titanfall stuff. But boy, if they wanted to do that, why didn't they just not cancel the Titanfall Legends things, the content that they were planning to do originally? So, yeah. Really all that's happening over at Respawn now is Apex Legends, Star Wars Jedi, the third game in that series. And then there is a Skunkworks team led by Steve Fukuda, who was the director of Titanfall 1. He's been working on a prototype phase for a new project for a very long time now, and he is still doing that. That project is also not, close to coming out or anything like that. It's at least 2, maybe 3 years away, and who knows if that actually ever sees the light of day. But that game is
different from this one that got canceled.
That is different from
that
this
one's
one.
actively in production.
That is, yes, exactly.
Or actively in prototyping.
Right. So the way Respawn does stuff, where they spend, half the development phase prototyping, half of it polishing all the great ideas that they came up with. That is still in the first part of that phase, but active development, as far as all the things that they're working toward, is development. Absolutely, yes. And then nothing else. That's it. I
wonder what would happen.
There's the tactics game that they're working on with BitReactor, but BitReactor's doing the development on that, really. So, yeah.
I wonder how successful they would be if they just snipped out the Titanfall multiplayer and just released it. I bet these days that thing would pop off so hard.
I mean, it's if they could just do Titanfall 1 and 2 remaster, and really, those games are mostly just multiplayer. I mean, Titanfall 2 obviously had an incredible campaign, but you remaster that too, and give people a reason to come back to it. And then you say no, yeah, we are basically remaking those games, but let's spruce up the multiplayer, maybe combine the best ideas of both of the multiplayer modes and say we're going to support this going forward. I think you're right. That is something that could work really well right now. I would love to see that.
Or just make Titanfall 3. What's the? I would kill the next 5 Battlefield games for a Titanfall 3.
Yep.
Like if that was my deal with the devil, I'd 100% do it.
Yep, I'm with you on that actually. Yeah, but EA, it just seems like they are, slowly peeling back from like fully just giving free reign to Respawn. Respawn, of course, has had a lot of key talent move on. A lot of people with stock that has vested that they are taking and starting new studios with.
The only way Titanfall 3 gets made at EA is if Joseph Fares says he's doing something in it. Because somehow he's got the keys to that kingdom. He can do whatever the fuck he wants because he's just popping off left, right, and center. So that's what I would be doing. He makes
$20 with it. Yeah, so yeah, they like that a lot.
That's what I would be doing strategically as Respawn. I'd be like, executive produced by Joseph Fares. And then they'd have to be like,
the final
we have to do this.
Oscar statue, like just a Titan, just like kicking an Oscar statue in the nards. Yeah, I would like that. Yeah, I people really hold a torch. Is that the same? Carry a torch
candle.
For candle. Is that what it is? Yeah. They carry a candle for Titanfall 3 and hope that like something will happen there. But there's just no good news. Not really. Not when it comes to that franchise. And I apologize that continues to be the way it is.
You sit right down next to the Hollow Knight people, and and the Bloodborne people, and you shut up.
Yep, you get in line. Honestly, Apex Legends is they're kind of returning focus to Apex Legends after previously thinking that they were going to slowly wind that game down over the course of the next 5 years or so. They have changed their tune on that a little bit when speaking to investors, at least. Tam, what can they do? I mean, obviously, my answer would be like, bring in more Titanfall stuff, bring in Titans into Apex Legends. That would get me excited, probably.
What is this?
What else can they do with it?
What is this tactical game they're making? Because is that I'm going to be very naive here and say like, surely they're making a Titanfall tile-based tactical game in the vein of like FTL or something like that, right?
What? Shit. Tam, why do you got to say things like that? Because it's
tiles.
It's not that. Oh,
man. Should be tiles, Jay.
I don't understand why, like, I some dumbass like me can come up with ideas that are actually good just off the cuff, while these people who are professionally paid to do it at executive levels aren't just like, why don't you do this? Because that seems like a good idea.
Yeah, that is a really good idea, and I would love that.
give me the executive money, right? And I will just sit in a room.
Check.
You just, every time you open the door and stick your head in, I'll give you an idea that's a banger. And then you just close the door. And that's it. Every time you want one, you just pop a head in. What you got? Turn-based FTL, but Titanfall. Close the door. Jeez, how is that not banging?
Yeah, I want that real bad. Into the Breach, Titanfall, yeah.
Into the Breach, FTL, combine them. Let's do this.
You got a winning formula right there. It is, it's a Star Wars tactics game, is what it is. I knew you would.
No.
Yep, that's it. That's the sound.
No more Star Wars.
It is a shame that like this team that did have Titanfall has to like go through Star Wars to get some stuff made now.
I hate that, man.
Yep.
Just, I mean, everything has to
those
go
Jedi games.
Star
As someone who is like a huge Star Wars fan, they crush it with those Jedi games. It's just
they're good.
I'm also a huge Respawn fan. Kind of want them to be able to do whatever they want.
That's the issue,
and that is not happening now.
No. I hate that this talented team has to attach everything they do through Star Wars, because Star Wars is at like the peak of mediocrity right now. So it's not like prestigious anymore. It's just like, we need another bag of popcorn from the popcorn factory.
It's
so great.
The people making it don't really care. I mean, Andor aside, people making it don't really care. And so
I'm including Andor. I'm including Andor.
You can't include Andor. You're completely wrong. It's the best TV show ever made. But it's
insane behavior. Best TV show ever made is Batman the Animated Series, and everyone knows that.
I'm not counting Batman ties. Come on. Hey, I hope Respawn can make things make sense. I hope that Steve Fukuda game comes out. That's I like the way Respawn does things. There was a time there where EA was like, everyone should work like Respawn underneath us. Vince Zampella, you're in charge of a whole bunch of shit now because we like the way you did things over at Respawn, and that never really manifested. Vince Zampella's still in charge of like Battlefield now, and it seems like it's a full-time job rescuing that. I'm of the personal opinion that, boy, I don't know if that's worth it to me because I just have never truly loved Battlefield. But I get
Apart from
that is
Battlefield
like,
Hardline, notoriously you love
oh yeah,
Battlefield
you just
Hardline.
got, go cops. That's what I'm always saying.
Yep.
I think that I get that EA likes Battlefield because at one point it did print money for them, not Call of Duty print money, but it did make a lot of money for them, and they want that back. So whatever, that's
I
the way the
feel like
publishers are going.
Battlefield is that sports team that out of nowhere had like a year where just
Yeah.
weird shit happened and they somehow almost made it to the finals.
Uh-huh.
And that it was a pure cosmic fluke, and everyone knows it except for the people behind that team who believe that it was a sign of pure, like genuine skill and strategy. And they've been trying to get back into the finals since then, but they just don't know that it was luck.
Yep. It's
And that is Battlefield and Call of Duty. Like
Minnesota Vikings.
yeah.
Yeah. They're just
You had your moment. You almost did it, but that was it. Your time has passed. Now you got to stop trying to chase that, man. You're driving it into the ground.
even when they're good, like there's like a rot in it. Like Battlefield 3 or 4, one of those was like really good and beloved, but it didn't work for like a year and a half because the net code was really bad. And people don't remember that, but I wrote a lot of stories about that game, and it was broke as hell. And it's like, yeah, and this was the one that people love now. It's,
I always play Battlefield until inevitably this happens with every game. I'll die, and then the kill cam will just pan to a tree across the map, and I'll just be like, oh great, I had no fucking idea there was a tree across the map with a dude in it, and he killed me. I'm out. I'm uninstalling this game.
Yep. Yeah. And then I guess I'll try one more time and run for 5 minutes to get killed immediately the second I see an enemy.
Joke.
All right. Yeah, I get it. Skill issue. Okay. Next story. Mario Day begins early with 2 new Nintendo Switch Online games. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Nintendo has added 2 more Game Boy games to its Switch Online retro library. Donkey Kong and Mario's Picross have both been added to the Game Boy app to celebrate the upcoming Mario Day, which is on March 10th because MAR10 kind of looks like Mario. Donkey Kong is Donkey Kong 94, as it's colloquially referred to as, because it came out in 94 and it's very different from Donkey Kong, even though it presents itself as the Donkey Kong arcade game at first. It's one of the best puzzle platformers ever. It's really, really fantastic. And then Picross, Mario Picross is very good. If I were to tell you to go play any one Picross game, it probably wouldn't be this one, but there's nothing wrong with this one. It's also good.
It's
so
fine.
This is probably the extent of what happens for Mario Day, right, Tam? Maybe they have like some other, because they've already announced the Mario Wonder bundle for the Switch OLED. These things have kind of been preceded, and I'm not expecting them to come on Mario Day and be like, here's a ton of other stuff happening. It feels like they got to kind of keep it low key because they got the Switch 2 happening.
What if they just put out like a old school style E3 style, just a very, very obviously high res version of a Mario that has never been featured in any game, and we're like, who is this lad? And it's just you know how they did that with, was it Mario 128 or like whatever the tech demo was, where it's like,
Mario 128, yeah,
way too many Marios, and everyone just went, that's next gen, that's for a new console. What if they did that with the Switch 2 and it was just like a new version of Mario?
With the Switch 2, we now finally have the power to render handsome Mario. Just like we have weird Mario in Mario Maker, like where they made him tall and lanky and weird, and now we have handsome Mario through the power of Nvidia DLSS.
Or it's just normal Mario with his like rotund midsection and tiny arms, like T-Rex arms. And they're like, with the power of the Switch 2, we are now able to render Mario's mustache like never before. And it just zooms directly into his mustache, and you can see like individual hairs pixelated.
Yeah.
It cuts to a very excited Japanese man who's like, "Yosh."
Hyper realistic belly hair. Yeah, absolutely. That's what Mario's needed.
We put a tuft of hair on Mario's chest that now pokes out from his overalls. So when you jump in the air, you'll see it like move, and it's like, oh, shut up, man.
Now rendering with suggestive body hair. Yeah, I think that is the future for this franchise.
Yeah. We have fully realized Mario's Italian roots by making him way hairier.
I am, I'm not expecting much. I don't think this is probably it for Mario Day. Although, looks like, or it sounds like the GB Kids and Dan Riker got some plans because they're both streaming their blocks on Mario Day. So you could tune in here and celebrate Mario the way God intended by playing a bunch of video games. So hang out with us for Mario Day. We'll take care of you, everybody. All right, keeping going here. RoboCop expansion, Styx sequel, and Cthulhu co-op horror game are a part of everything that was revealed at Nacon's Connect 2025 event. Nacon is a video game publisher. They, I think, maybe best known at this point for putting out that RoboCop game a few years back. They have a new one that's kind of an expand-alone. We'll talk about that here from Darren Bonthus at GameSpot. While June and July have become a popular time of the year for gaming live streams, Nacon got the party started earlier this week with the 2025 edition of Nacon Connect. The annual live stream followed the same format as previous editions, as several trailers for upcoming games were shown off. There were updates for current titles, and new gaming hardware was teased. The big games here are that RoboCop, let's see here, what's it called exactly? RoboCop Rogue City Unfinished Business. It is
Oh my god.
essentially an expansion for that RoboCop game, but you don't need to buy that RoboCop game. It's expand alone. Tam, what are your thoughts about Unfinished Business?
It's kind of a bit cheeky in it. We've realized we can get more money out of this. That is the unfinished business that we are referencing here.
I mean, God.
You're telling me RoboCop got half the job done? That's not RoboCop behavior. When RoboCop does something, he does it to completion. You know what I'm saying? On the streets and between the sheets.
That's RoboCop fucks is what we're saying here, everybody.
Yes.
Deal with it.
Yeah.
They're going to have a fleshy version of RoboCop. I think where when he was just Murphy. There's going to be flashbacks apparently where you could just play as man RoboCop before he becomes RoboCop, and I'm like, who wants that? who wants the flesh man? Not me particularly. But
I hope it's in stealth sections.
RoboCop getting another like sort of spin-off to exploit the character even more is the most RoboCop thing, actually, Tam. That was a franchise that was. It was one thing and then immediately became the most merchandised thing you could possibly imagine. So this is right in line with that character.
Has there ever been RoboCop crossovers?
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
Like RoboCop versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or whatever.
I think RoboCop versus Terminator is definitely something that's happened. God, I think there was a Super Nintendo game. Is that right?
How has RoboCop not ever met Judge Dredd? I feel like that should be a game that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I feel
someone
like
should make
it'll happen.
Someone should make like a Smash Brothers game, but with only like 90s protagonists and antagonists. So it's like RoboCop.
Yeah,
Conan, I guess.
Brothers.
Yeah, or whatever. He's yeah.
And then
Judge Dredd, Simon Phoenix, John Spartan.
And then the entire
bad
cast
boys
of Fire Emblem is still in there for some reason.
Just Marth is in there, and so it's fucking Roy, and they've got swords, and everyone's getting cooked because they're still being assholes about everything.
Other kind of big announcements that Cthulhu, the Cosmic Abyss, it's a co-op horror game. Looks pretty interesting. It's coming out in 2026. A new Styx game. You know these Styx games, Tam?
No, that's Blinks, isn't it?
That's Blinks. STYX. It's like a goblin-looking guy in stealth games. This is coming out in the fall. This is
isn't that a band? Styx?
Styx is a band. Yeah, absolutely. What are they? Is that "Come Sail Away"? Come sail away with me. I think they sing that. And then Rensport, which is a new sim ultra realistic racing game. It's coming to PS5 and Xbox Series X, and of course, Nacon also makes like video game controllers and peripherals, so they're going to have a steering wheel to go along with this. It looked pretty good, although I wonder if there's a lot of space left over in that genre after Forza Motorsport and after Gran Turismo.
Did they show anything of Hell Is Us?
They did. They did show off more of Hell Is Us. I'll read the little tidbit here from Darren. One of the big games coming from Nacon this year is Hell Is Us, an action RPG that aims to blend action with the thrill of exploration. The new deep dive into the game showed off more of the dystopian world that you'll get to travel in, and what makes it particularly interesting is that it won't contain the usual hallmarks of open world game design. Developer Rogue Factor says that instead of quest markers and the like, Hell Is Us will require players to rely on their observation skills, reasoning, and intuition to progress through the world and uncover its deepest secrets as part of its player plattering design philosophy. That's what it says here. I wonder if that's
plattering.
Yeah, how are you plattering players? We're gonna plat up the plate up the players. I don't
I
know.
guess like they give you a bunch of shit and they're like, "This is tasty. Why
Yeah,
don't you try
yeah. I
one of
guess is that
these?"
what they're
And you're
saying
like,
there? That's it's a platter for
"Hmm."
the players, but how player hyphen plattering? That implies that you're plattering up the player. Hell is Us will officially launch for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S on September 4th. Yeah, that game continues to look pretty promising. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Every time I see it, I'm like, Death Stranding 2. And then it goes to Hell is Us. I'm like, hell yeah. Different game.
Nacon like is like one of these mid tier publishers that I'm like, oh yeah, they're doing all
Yeah,
right stuff.
they all do like a bunch of stuff that's kind of predictable, but
Oh yeah,
is like reliable. And then they'll usually pop out something that's like a bit of a risk for them. Which I think is a good strategy for them. And then they have that like backbone of, I think they actually released a Judge Dredd game out or
I
something like that at one
think so.
point. I might have made that up though.
But I mean, they're one of these publishers that has a variety of games, and then they still do licensed games, and they get the licenses that are a little bit more affordable because they're not as active. So yeah, I think this is a completely fair strategy for a company
Yeah,
of this size. And then
I
Test
think they've
Drive
also got
Unlimited,
like
Solar Crown is coming back, things like that.
yeah, I think they also have like a bunch of those weird like side sport games like cycling
Yeah,
and that kind of stuff. So I think that, and like
exactly.
I think they do WRC as well, maybe. So they have like a under obviously their smash hit success from the last 5 years has been Lord of the Rings Gollum,
Right.
which
Future Blight
just
Club
made
game.
them,
Yeah,
yeah, made mad bank.
we just got to get Lucy back on for that one.
When's my Blight Club? What am I doing for Blight Club? What's going
Yeah,
on?
honestly, I would love that because
What
I'm
are
going to
we
be
doing?
coming up again soon. Maybe you should have one first. I would love. That sounds fantastic to me.
Should buy you extra time.
Uh-huh. Yeah, please. Yeah, delay my, commute my sentence a little bit, please. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's maybe wrap up the week's news on that Tony Hawk stuff. There's a final confirmation on how that game's going to work. Let's kind of discuss that before we wrap up the week right after this. All right, we're back into it. Still here with Tamoor Hussain. I'm Jeff Grubb. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 begins to face backlash. This is from Zach Swisen at Kotaku.
Oh no.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 was officially announced earlier this week, and while it looks to be a great remake of some popular PS2 era skateboarding games, shout out to him for not doing that like the sixth generation. One big change involving timed challenges in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 might be a deal breaker for some players. After some teases and rumors, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 was announced on March 4th. The game, like 2020's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2, is a full remake of two past games from the Tony Hawk franchise, specifically 3 and 4. The new remake is being developed by Iron Galaxy and is set to launch in July, on July 11th exactly. And while it will feature the old maps, songs, skaters, and tricks that fans remember from the classic games, there will be at least one big change involving Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4's career mode. The news here is, obviously we've talked about this all week. They've confirmed it, that this is how it'll work. Kotaku was able to confirm with Activision that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 will not include the original career mode seen in the OG version of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 on the PlayStation 2. Instead, like in the first three games, each Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 level will feature a list of changes or challenges to compete in a 2-minute run. The original 4 did not have that 2-minute timer. It was kind of, you just go skate around the world, do things that you're on your own time. Here they are going to rework things, and this is the streamlining that they talked about in the like the PR blast that came out when the game's trailer launched, and so they will have to rework a lot of those things because some of them would be a little cumbersome to do in 2 minutes. Now, Tam, I can't help but feel personally like I bet this is going to be an improvement because Tony Hawk's Pro Skater
Yeah, I mean,
4 is it was a good game. I like that game a ton. But that was their first time like really trying the open way of doing things. And I think some of the design of those missions it just wasn't great. And so I think if you have a chance to edit that and do something more in line with the way things work with the other games at that time, I'm at least in a wait and see mode. But a lot of people
yeah.
like the way Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 worked, and they're not happy with this, and so it's becoming
I mean,
a hanging point, a point that people are getting hung up on. How are you feeling?
just for some context, GameSpot published a news article, I believe, after this. It was written by Eddie McCooch, who said and the headline being Tony Hawk's 4 remake isn't just limited to 2-minute levels.
Right, and that was about like there's the freescape mode and
Yeah,
stuff like
there's
that.
like
Yeah.
other modes available to it. Like GameSpot understands that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 will have shared feature set that aims to unify the two games. Objectives for players to complete will be based on a timer for both games. That said, the game has a free skate mode with no timer at all. The game also has speed run and single session modes. So is the thinking is the issue that the fact that this is being changed in the career mode and that's it, or is it just the fact that this is being changed at all? Because having the option to do it elsewhere
it won't be the option to do it elsewhere. Like the stuff that was in 4. So here's like the way 4 kind of worked. You would skate up to a dude, maybe it was Bam Margera, and you skate
this time.
Yeah, not this time. It definitely confirmed he's not in the game. But maybe it's like someone like Bam Margera, and you say, "Hey, what's going on?" He tells you to do a thing, and then it's fully voiced, things like that. So I think there's speculation from some people that they didn't want to have to like re-record voice lines or change the characters for people they weren't going to bring back for this game, and so instead let's just rework things. So it's a way to avoid a certain kind of work that they didn't want to do. I think it's probably fair. There's probably something to that, and yet I still think that this is probably going to lead to a better game. Again, that's just my personal feeling on it. So you won't be able to like have the exact same experience that you got from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. It will be substantially different. And so people are like, hey, I and that's the one I like the most. Or a lot of people started playing Tony Hawk with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. To them, it was always this no time limit thing because after that they stuck with that way of doing things. And so they're missing out on something that they really like.
I'm interested to see what the justification is from the Iron Galaxy side, because Iron Galaxy, those fools know games, right? Like, and they would no doubt know that this is something that people are going to have a response to. So I'm waiting for the day that they can drunkenly talk about it on a giant bomb couch or something like that. But yeah, there's got to be some justification for it. But at the same time, I understand why people could be upset about it, because if you're bringing these games back, you're kind of leveraging nostalgia, and then if you're changing a significant part of it, you're watering down that nostalgia. And before people are able to get their own hands on it, they don't like the idea of the thing that you're telling them will feel like the thing that used to be, not feeling like that from the outset. So I can understand it, but I do also wonder what the justification is from a pure business and gameplay design and execution standpoint. Not saying that I'm into it. I would prefer it to come out in the exact way that Tony Hawk's perverts want it to, but sometimes it can't.
I'm a Tony Hawk pervert, and I actually want this editing personally. There's a lot of like just dumb missions that they started doing around this time. Things that are like, and some stuff that will age poorly that you like, they wouldn't want to have, they have to change anyhow because it makes references to like gendered slurs and things like that. So, I'm
an SSX tricky pervert, and you know what? We haven't had anything good in years.
Right. And you're in the boat that like, now Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 purists are going to be in, where it's like, oh, if I want to play that game the way I want to play that game, I got to go back to the original. And I appreciate that people are going to be like, oh, I'm feeling left out. And that's a terrible feeling. That's a terrible feeling. I get that. So I sympathize with people. I just can't help but personally feel like, I'm probably going to like this game a lot, regardless of the changes. So, but who knows? I could be surprised. It's just, we go through this dance every time when things like this get announced, and then people see something and it kind of sets off the alarm bells for them. And maybe, I'm not saying this has happened this time, but traditionally what happens is we overstate the problem, then we play the game, and then we never mention the problem again because that wasn't actually an issue, and then we discover something else to be upset about. Yeah. All right. Continuing.
They should completely divert everyone's attention by changing the title of the game to Anthony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 and 5, and then people will be like, "I can't believe they did that. It's gone woke," and then no one else will care about any other thing happening in there.
There's definitely, time limits are woke. So this is the most woke Tony Hawk game so far. Nvidia slammed for lying about budget graphics cards, but they're selling out anyway. It sounded like a miracle. I think this came from Kotaku. Sorry, I didn't write that down, everybody. It sounded like a miracle. Nvidia's new budget GeForce RTX 57 graphics cards, priced at just $550, that's budget these days, would perform even better than last generation's $1,600 RTX 4090. That was the claim CEO Jensen Huang made on stage at CES 2025 a couple of months ago. It turns out that was mostly bullshit, but the RTX 5070 is already selling out regardless, despite major price hikes. Basically, what happened here, Tam, is they made big promises for the 5070, a lot of their cards, the entire 50 series, and they were making those claims based on, if you have all of the extra technology, including these cards, turned on in a game that supports it, you will get performance that is potentially better than a 4090, which costs a lot more money. That was not really the case, even like in the best case scenario, maybe here or there. But the other side of that is these things are really hard to find. You can't get it for $550 because it's selling out at the higher prices already. So it's like there's no reason for any of these companies that produce these cards, MSI, whoever else, to drop the price. They are just going to keep selling. So I think a lot of people are pinning the hopes on AMD coming in, providing some competition. That could happen. But yeah, I don't know if Nvidia is going to feel a lot of pressure here to do something better next time because they have been rewarded. And we know how these companies are. When they try something and it works, they're not going to just keep doing that. They're going to try to push the line even further next time, right?
So I was at that press conference at CES where they were talking about this stuff and revealed the new batch of cards. And I was really, really fascinated to see how much of the cards they broke down within the context of things that were nothing to do with video games.
Yeah.
Which is I think a good sign of where Nvidia is as a company right now.
And where games are at.
And where their games are and their priorities as well. So the stuff that they talked about most they showed off that one tech demo that was brief, like a minute or two. The thing that they talked about most was the AI potential of these cards to revolutionize cars. And the one that they went on for a really long time about, which was fascinating, but also like telling in that nothing to do with games, is how it's going to change the way factories work. Because AIs will, and that card, the devices that are running that card, will be able to like map out, your warehouse and then tell autonomous robots how to get around them without colliding into each other, and whilst also factoring in people. They also talked about it in the context of architecture, where the cards are being used to render like buildings and cities with much more ease than they used to be. That is all to say that it does suck for a lot of people who expected something out of these cards from a gaming standpoint, but that is no longer the focus of what Nvidia does. Nvidia is no longer a small or a medium-sized gaming chip manufacturer and company. They are one of the most prestigious and high-value corporations that exist. And the reason they are that way is because they are at the bleeding edge, the forefront of AI and also hardware, like manufacturing hardware. The game part of it, us being upset that we can't get more frames or like can't access this thing, get this thing easily is nothing to them. They still care about video games a lot, but the kind of applicability of their devices has moved far beyond making sure that you can run Cyberpunk in 4K with ray tracing turned on,
Yep. And this is why I'm always I do get a little bit worn down by the constant shrieking from a lot of coverage of PC hardware, but it's clearly like one thing that might be able to check Nvidia, because people are going to keep buying these cards, and Nvidia is going to keep making unimaginable amounts of money from selling it as an AI chip vendor. And so, when Gamers Nexus goes on there and, just rakes them across the coals for this stuff, that stuff does begin to register with a wider audience, and it can maybe flip the script a little bit. So
I hope there is competition from AMD. Like I know AMD and Radeon.
Seems like there is.
Yeah, exactly. But Nvidia kind of ran away with it for a really long time. And even as someone who has Nvidia products, and I like a lot of the stuff that they have made, I want to see another company hold their feet to the fire. And it seems like AMD is kind of like gaining ground with high power but a little more affordable consoles that are
in the $500 range.
Hardware that's
Intel's
also
giving them a run for their
available.
money in the $200, $300 range. Not that Nvidia cares about that anymore, but
yeah, exactly. I think the next step for a lot of this stuff is like PC manufacturers and these iBuyPowers and all these other kind of companies that make pre-built PCs kind of offering that stuff again, because I know that there was a period of time when when you'd go to one of these custom build PC websites, just never would find anything from AMD. It would just be like Nvidia and GeForce pure. But if there can be a little more competition, just to keep everyone honest, I'm all for that. I would love to see AMD push back up.
Yep. For me, it's like when Nvidia was making all these claims, I immediately, like, if you pay attention to this space, not to trust those things. This is a salesman trying to sell you something, and so I immediately throw that stuff out. It doesn't even like get into my head really. It is, oh, that is probably a lie. At the very least, it's meaningless to me. I need to see actual data about these things. So I often can be guilty of assuming everyone else has that same sort of position of, well, of course the salesman is lying to you. All salesmen lie. And, really, we're going to hear the next story. Let's do it now. AMD lies a little bit. AMD Radeon 9070 GPUs have arrived, but retailers are selling out fast. The way that their line is that they are saying that their cards also cost a certain amount of money, and they know they're not going to. They know they're going to cost more than that. And they have so far mostly been charging more than that through their third-party partners that are actually producing the cards. The thing isn't the price that they say it is; it's more than that. And you know what? Of course, I knew that was going to be the case. Most people pay attention to the space know that's going to be the case. But AMD can say that, it can be the headline, and then the reality is something very different. But at the very least, 9070 and the 9070 XT from AMD in this $550 range. And again, that is the manufacturer suggested retail price, which is not a real thing. In this range of ostensibly being in that price point, these are very good cards that really will maybe kind of maybe not put pressure on Nvidia, because who knows if they feel pressure from competition in the home consumer enthusiast GPU space, but it'll give people an alternative, and that is something. So it's
For sure.
At least the changes are happening there. All right. Let's see. Jackbox games will soon be playable on smart TVs for free. This is from Blair Marnell at GameSpot. Jackbox Games has been around in multiple incarnations over the past 3 decades, thanks to its addictive party games, including You Don't Know Jack. Now, Jackbox's library of gaming titles is making the leap to smart TVs, courtesy of the new Jackbox app. Via Jackbox Games' official site, the company announced that the app is a result of a partnership with Amazon Web Services GameLift Streams, which will utilize the cloud to launch Jackbox's titles on smart TVs and other platforms. Well, the announcement doesn't mention any specific titles that will be included. It does note that the Jackbox app will offer a small collection of ad-supported games for free. The company indicated that it plans to eventually offer the full catalog of Jackbox Games titles as a subscription service, but didn't offer any hints as to how much that would cost or when it might come to fruition. Tam, this is like sort of the perfect use of, hey, let's stream games through the cloud to your TV, because when you need these games, you need them, and then you don't think about them outside of that. So when you get together with the family and suddenly you're like, hey, everyone wants to keep hanging out, we all got together, let's do something fun. Does anyone have any ideas? And I go, darn, I wish I'd brought my Steam Deck and the dock so we could play Jackbox together. That would be great. Well, now you just can do that. This is that sort of the ideal genre for this. So I'm pretty excited about this. I think this is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I think they half step that way with the iPad, iOS stuff.
Yes, you're right.
Because some of that stuff is just cast from your device to screen. I downloaded Survey Scramble. Jackbox Survey Scramble, which is basically
also great.
I've not played a single second of it because I was expecting to play it with people, and then there's nobody in my life that wants to play it. So who we're at, that sucks. But apparently it's like Family Fortunes with that. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll give that a go. But I was prepared to just beam it from my iPad to the TV. It was been easy peasy. But having it easily more available on TVs is a very, very smart thing for them to do. I'm surprised it took them this long, honestly, because it's such a no-brainer. And it's the one thing I do think about is how are they going to package that stuff up? Because a lot of the the Jackbox stuff recently has been very like piecemeal, and like you need to own this version and that version and then buy extra this, that, and the other. And it's like, if you're going for a mainstream audience, you've got to be careful with that stuff, because that could be the kind of thing where if everyone's first impression is this is just a money making scheme, then they're just gonna bounce out of that and kind of like write it off.
Yep.
But if they come in good and like honest and are, you know, smart about the way they try and integrate themselves into people's home TV lives, it could become like a genuine, like, you know, stable thing for people to want in their TVs.
Yeah, I think you're right that the business model will be kind of the make or break here for whether or not this makes sense. Because you know, I get everything wants to be a subscription. If you can make a subscription, you should make a subscription. If I could, you know, I do subscribe, or I do have a subscription people could charge for my personal Patreon and stuff like that. So I do it too. But if you could have an option here where it's like, oh, you could buy a lifetime pass to this stuff for, I don't know, $80, $90. I mean, there's a lot of content there. They've made like 12 of these. They have older games they can maybe put in there. They do have Survey Scramble now. There's a lot of stuff. And so it's like, oh, if there's a way to just buy a lifetime subscription, that would be a really cool thing to see. But I don't know if I expect them to do that instead of just charging $8 a month instead and hoping people forget about it.
It would be so much smarter if they had like a good subscription style thing, where it's like, you know, either a lifetime thing like $80 or like a cheap like monthly thing like $5 or something like that.
Yep. All right. When that happens, I'm gonna give it a shot. I like good Jackbox stuff a lot. Last story here, GTA 6 could help Xbox have one last hurrah this generation, according to an analyst. This comes from Eddie McHugh at GameSpot. Microsoft has lost this console generation to Sony when it comes to pure sales, but according to one analyst, the release of GTA 6 could be a last hurrah for the Xbox Series X and S consoles. Reese Elliott, who's been on the show, shout out to Reese, of Media Research, said in an interview that although Sony will emerge as this console generation's victor, Microsoft could benefit substantially from GTA 6's launch in terms of hardware sales, especially of the less expensive Series S console. Tam, let's just get your initial reaction there. Do you think that sounds right to you?
I think, I don't know what would specifically elevate Microsoft above like its competition where the
I don't think it'd be relative
available.
to Sony. I think it'd be relative to Xbox sales before
Relative to
GTA
Microsoft's
6.
own, yeah. So I think like it makes sense if people, you always assume, and because it's been precedent, like people who traditionally won't be buying consoles will, when a GTA game comes out, look into buying consoles. And I think the Xbox Series S is currently the most affordable console next gen that could theoretically be able to play GTA, the next GTA, without any obvious compromises. So for that perspective, I'm sure that Xbox sales will get a lift. Definitely relative to Xbox sales currently and over the past few months, like a new GTA, cheaper price, that's going to ding up the numbers. I don't think it necessarily, the framing of this is weird because it frames it to begin with in the kind of context of the consoles performing each individually and Sony being the highest. I don't think it's going to do anything for Microsoft to move the needle and like close the gap in any meaningful way. I think from a pure, how do we finish this generation as strong as possible, or how do we give the Xbox a bump, the Series S is in a good position to do it. And if Microsoft plays their cards right, maybe they can create some sort of ladder that people who are considering a Series S, they see a value in actually just taking a few steps up the rung of the ladders and going to the X instead. I think if there is any possibility of Microsoft benefiting from the release of GTA 6 on current consoles, they need to, if they haven't already, really strategize to make sure that the pathway, the upgradable pathway, or the kind of the perception people have when they're about to buy an Xbox is that for a little bit more, I can get a considerably more powerful console with way more available to me. That should be the priority to maximize that bump that they might get.
Yeah, people are pointing out in chat, college football did give a pretty decent bump to Xbox Series S relative to its sales before that. I think we can expect the exact same thing for GTA 6. I guess the question then would be, Tam, do you think Microsoft anticipating that would throw extra weight behind marketing the Xbox Series S as a big GTA thing, or are they just gonna be like, yeah, that's great, we'll accept that, but our focus is elsewhere, selling more Call of Duty, selling more stuff in Minecraft? What do you think?
I think strategically it makes sense for them to align themselves a bit better with Rockstar now that they have the opportunity, like any and all opportunities. I think every company wants to be as close to as Rockstar and GTA
Yeah.
aligned as possible. I think it makes a lot of sense for Microsoft to be like, hey, this is the cheapest way you can play GTA, because it's true. I also feel like they could probably take the opportunity to be like, hey, our network infrastructure means that it's the best place to play GTA Online, which I assume will, I don't know if 6 is going to launch in a major way in terms of messaging with the future of GTA Online,
Yeah,
but
we
you
don't
got to
know.
believe at some point GTA Online is going to get some sort of bump that makes it a little closer aligned to GTA 6. And if Microsoft is already in a position where they're like, our servers are the best, trust us, our networking rules, like our party system is the place to play, is the best way to play these games online, they could get a bump from that as well.
Yep. Kane Highwind in chat says he's wondering about GTA 6 even running on Series S because he puts the Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3, the issue was that a local multiplayer, right? Being able to run, because in that game, two players could go in the opposite direction inside that world at the same time, and that was always going to be difficult for the S because of the RAM. I think GTA 6 that's a game. Well, I think RAM actually might be an issue for that, but the CPU would probably be the bottleneck for that, and the Series S has a really decent CPU.
Yeah,
relatively
and
speaking.
Rockstar knows how to figure this stuff out. Is if anyone can like
GTA 5 was
squeeze,
on Xbox 360.
yeah,
Yeah.
if anyone can squeeze juice out of it, like, and also there's a bunch of people who don't really pay attention to the differences. Like, there's going to be a few people out there who are like, I don't care, I just want to play the game. I don't care that I have to turn, subsurface scattering off or whatever it may be, fucking weird bells and whistles.
Yep. All right. That does it for the headlines. Let's get to the poll questions. Yesterday's poll question: do you use Discord? After the news of that made me going public, let's see how ingrained it is into the community. And 68% said yes, I do use Discord. 32% do not use Discord. For an audience, I think, with a lot of console players, the fact that so many people use Discord, I think is a sign that it really just has become an accepted standard inside of gaming, and we knew that.
It definitely has, but I think what people who work at these or like are making decisions should also keep in mind is that audience has no issue with going somewhere else if they
Yep,
need
we're
to.
fickle, right?
Like,
Yeah.
we're very, very fickle, and if anything new and shiny appears that offers the same services, that is less shitty about stuff and has less friction, people will move. Like, it happens constantly.
Yep, because it's like you can take communities with you, like that. The kind of community that's with you in a Discord will be transferable. That's the kind of community you can be like, no, we're over here now, and people will jump on the new thing because they still want to be a part of that group. It's very important to them.
Yeah.
All right, I got a new poll question. We'll ask here in a second. Before we do that, though, Tam, you mentioned some stuff you've been working on. You've been traveling. You got a lot of stuff happening. Tell people where they can find all that stuff, where they can find you on the internet, and all of that good stuff.
Pretty much everywhere at Tamoor H. On Blue Sky, I'm tamoor.h.com, and then Instagram Tamoor H. Follow me there. Where my Expedition 33 stuff is up, written preview on the site and YouTube channel, GameSpot's YouTube channel for the actual video preview between me and Lucy. We also started our playthrough of Split Fiction yesterday, me and Lucy.
It's on the Giant Bomb YouTube, Janice saying.
Yeah, it's on Giant Bomb YouTube. It's a lot of fun. We're going to be doing that weekly until we finish the game.
Oh, that's
We
exciting.
played about 2.5, 3 hours yesterday, and it was good. So please go watch that and chuck some comments in there so people know that others care about it.
Juice
Those numbers. Yeah, and then I believe we have UPF later. And are we doing Revengeance? Is Revengeance happening?
No, this week it's going to be Power Bombcast because
John Cena became a naughty boy.
He was a very naughty boy. Yes,
absolutely. I saw that.
All right, excellent. We have new poll question. I posted this, Jan. If you want to show it off to people, we can do that real quick. It is visual. Titanfall 3 ? And then your options are, let's see here, a very sad cat who is crying, a Glover sitting on a bridge and miserable, or a little girl screaming and crying. We'll get the results of that and discuss it on Monday here on Game Mess Mornings, here on Giant Bomb. Speaking of Giant Bomb, and speaking of the show, the name could change any minute now, everybody. I don't know. We'll kind of just do it when we do it, but pieces are moving and they will fall into place here relatively soon. The ongoing content block of us programming shows back to back. No plans to change any of that, though, as we do continue to like iron out the kinks as we.
It's only going to get bigger.
It's only gonna get bigger and smoother, and things will work better, and we'll produce more content from all this stuff. Yeah,
there's shows actively in production that you haven't seen as part of that block. They are going through. Some of them have been through piloting. We shot one of them yesterday because the first one of these we need to do pre-recorded instead of live, but it will become live from that point on. There's others that are in like pre-production that will show up in the next few weeks. We're reworking Spot On to be more live, and it's going to be exciting. So hopefully you continue watching, and also like send some feedback. Like, what do you like? What don't you like? Obviously, constructive feedback. I don't want to get a message just like, I hate your faces. I don't need that shit. Okay, I know that. I know my face.
Yeah.
So anything that you like, anything that you think would improve it, tweak it, we're listening. I'm not necessarily saying we're going to action what you say. We're just listening. Right?
Yep. Then really just, tune into the show every day, and then just don't tune away, because there will be more stuff following this show every single day of the week, except for Tuesday, where the Bombcast will start things off, unless we put something in front of the Bombcast.
We need to start Delight Club. Remember when we talked about doing Delight Club?
Absolutely. I mean, I got Grubb's gimmicks every week, and I'm like, I want to do that. I also do want to do License to Thrill or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of stuff that we mentioned before that's like, now I got this dedicated thing. I'm going to just start sprinkling those in here and there.
Yeah, there's a lot of cozy games that could work well for Delight Club coming up. So.
Yep. Without a doubt. Looking forward to just doing a ton more stuff, everybody. It's been a lot of fun. Shout outs to the crew figuring everything out. Also, I don't mentioned it. GameSpot After Dark happening later today.
Yep, GameSpot After Dark is happening later today. So tune in for that. Jean-Luc is going to be helming that along with Jan's going to be there, I think.
Yeah, he's going to be helping out.
And Jake. Yeah, so yeah.
All right.
Exciting times.
Tamoor Hussain, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talk about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, as always. I'll see you hopefully next week, unless something really bad happens to me.
Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.